And welcome back to Sports on Tap. It's our Ohio High School football coverage, Week 6 recap right here on Mixer. We're live.
Can you believe we're going on week 7 already?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
This season is 60% over. At least the regular season is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at it from a playoff standpoint, we're only at 40%, so that's good.
Well, as we get later and later in the season, we cover, the playoff predictions or, the standings and teams on the outside looking in. We cover the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Southwestern Conference, and the Buckeye Bucks from the Patriot Athletic Conference. But right now, Ed Dick is going to cover the Suburban League National and American divisions. And Ed, in the National Division, it was Stowe and Twinsburg that, Stowe just continues to win big games, and they're a tough team.
Yeah, so undefeated Stowe Monroe Falls put the perfect season on the line, traveling to Twinsburg to take on a young and talented Tiger team. Coming into this game with a 1-4 record overall, 1-1 in the conference. The Tigers did play the Bulldogs tough in the first half with no score in the first quarter before Stowe running back Joe Gobble got the Bulldogs on the board with a 10-yard touchdown run. Twinsburg responded with a rushing touchdown by sophomore quarterback Adam Banamater, covering 25 yards. Jared Eaton then connected with Jalen Tucker for a 2-point conversion and an 8-7 game. So Twinsburg actually had a lead on Stowe, 8-7 at one point. Stowe did respond with an 8-yard touchdown run by Terrian Ray to put the Bulldogs back up 14-8. Just as the half was about to end, Twinsburg's Isaiah Savitt picked off a pass from quarterback Kyle Van Treese and took it to the house, tying the game with less than a minute left at 14-all in the first half. However, in the second half, Stowe completely took over. They scored 28 unanswered points. Terrian Ray punched through twice more for touchdowns of 25 and 21 yards. Van Treese found wide receiver Joe Andrasey for a 28-yard touchdown pass, and Joe Gobble got his second touchdown from a 7-yard touchdown run to account for the final 42-14 score. Stowe remains undefeated. They will host Hudson, while Twinsburg drops to 1-5 overall, 1-2 in the conference. They will host Wadsworth. Our next game takes us with Hudson. The Hudson Explorers are 4-1 overall. They were 2-0 in the conference. They took absolutely no time at dispatching the Cuyahoga Falls Black Tigers. Hudson wasted no time as Colby Miller intercepted a pass from quarterback Nate Vasilati and took it 57 yards for a touchdown. 4 different offensive players scored touchdowns for Hudson, and kicker Grant Gagne added a 25-yard field goal as the Explorers won 37-6. Eddie Just, Dawson Worthy, Brady Ludwig, and Jonah Wineland on a touchdown pass from Jackson Parker all scored from Hudson. Cuyahoga Falls quarterback Nate Vasilati scored for the Black Tigers from 1 yard out. Hudson moves to 5-1 overall, 3-0 in the conference. They will travel to undefeated Stowe Monroe Falls. Cuyahoga Falls drops to 1-5 overall, 1-2 in the conference. They will host Macedonia Nordonia. My game of the week featured the Wadsworth Grizzlies and the North Royalton Bears. Wadsworth, 3-2 overall, going into this game, 1-1 in the conference. Hosted North Royalton, 1-4 overall, 0-2 in the conference. In my game of the week, the Grizzlies were the recipients of good fortune with all-county running back Alex Jones' return last week, and with another week of practice, reaped even more of the benefits against the Bears. The offenses for both teams were terrific. The defenses, closer to terrible in this game. Wadsworth jumped on the Bears early as quarterback Joey Bachman found Mitchell Blackburn for a 21-yard touchdown pass. Alex Jones sandwiched 2 one-yard touchdown runs around a 68-yard touchdown run by Bachman to give the Grizzlies a 28-0 lead in the second quarter. North Royalton's running back Zach Antonio plunged into the end zone from 1 yard out, cutting the lead to 28-7 before Bachman ran for 77 yards and another touchdown. Bachman then found Jones for a 10-yard touchdown pass to go up 42-7, and then Jones ended the scoring for the Grizzlies in the first half with an 82-yard touchdown run and a 49-14 lead in the first half. Wadsworth racks up 464 yards on 27 plays in the first half. Good God. Unbelievable offense by the Wadsworth Grizzlies. In the second half, North Royalton's Zach Antonio did run for 3 touchdowns, covering 13, 16, and 3 yards. But the Bears, they did not seriously threaten the Grizzlies. They were able to untrigger the running clock a couple times, but Wadsworth rolled to a 55-35 victory. Alex Jones and Joey Bachman had a hand in all 8 of the Wadsworth scores. Jones ran the ball 10 times for 118 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also caught 2 passes for 32 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Mitchell Blackburn had 3 catches for 100 yards and a touchdown. And Joey Bachman, who admittedly had a rough 3-game stretch before the return of Alex Jones, he passed for 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. He rushed 12 times for 288 yards and 4 touchdowns. Unbelievable effort by Bachman. And his touchdowns covered long distances. For North Royalton, freshman quarterback Joe Marusik passed for 207 yards. He also ran for another 100 yards, while Zach Antonio rushed for 106 yards and 4 touchdowns. Overall, the teams combined for over 1,050 yards offensively, and Bachman's effort is second only to Brunswick quarterback Sean Bedovelski for total offense in one game. With the win, Wadsworth moves to 3-3 overall, 2-1 in the conference. They will travel to Twinsburg. North Royalton drops to 1-5 overall in the 0-3 in the conference. They will host Brecksville Broadview Heights. Gentlemen, that's a game right there. The other game that is normally covered by myself is the Nordonia Knights taking on the Brecksville Broadview Heights Bees. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit, as that was the Sports on Tap game of the week for Week 6.
Yes, it was.
And
great game.
I'll tell you what, just as that was a great game, and we have certainly a lot to talk about there when we get to that point. Lots of choices here for the MVP. Alex Jones had a heck of a game. Mitchell Blackburn made a very small, made his touches very impactful. Even Joe Marusik, Zach Antonio for North Royalton, respectively, had great games. The guys in the Nordonia and Brecksville game were very prolific as well. However, I got to give this to Wadsworth quarterback Joey Bachman. He had 173 yards passing and 2 touchdowns. He had 12 carries for 288 yards and 4 touchdowns. When you account for 6 touchdowns and you have over 460 yards of total offense, and you come up second for total offense in one game to one of the all-time greats in Brunswick history and Medina County history, that being Sean Bedovelski from 2007, you deserve the player of the week for this week. So Joey Bachman, quarterback of Wadsworth, is the Week 6 MVP. Week 7, my game of the week, and this probably comes as no surprise to anybody, and admittedly this is probably going to be covered by some of the other outlets here, but I can't pass this one up myself. Stowe Monroe Falls travels to Hudson. That will be the Week 7 game of the week.
Huge.
For the Suburban League National Division.
Yeah, that's a big one. Hudson's defense has played really good defensively, so I'm interested to see how are they going to contain a high-potent Stowe offense, because Stowe, they put up some big numbers, but their defense is impressive too. In Hudson, they have weapons. We saw them versus Strongsville, weapons from all over the place. Their quarterbacks can run, they can throw, good wide receiver play, and a balanced running attack. So that's going to be a great game.
It is, and the thing with Hudson is, at least with this game, this was a low-scoring game last year, and that's when Jason Gobble was the focus of the offense. I think this year, you had Kyle Van Treese, Joe Andrazi, some of those guys. While they started last year and they played significant minutes, they weren't featured as much. This year, you have Jason's younger brother, Joe Gobble, on offense, who's filling in quite admirably. But you have a more balanced offense in my mind, between the two. So Coach Nora can rely on Van Treese a little bit more now than he maybe did last year, because he's they're another year seasoned. Van Treese and Andrazi have a great connection together, and when you add Gobble into that mix, along with some of the other offensive weapons, it makes for a tough offense to stop. So that's going to be a great game between Stowe and Hudson, and we'll see what comes of that. Another team that I'm quite intrigued with is Wadsworth now. They've turned in 2 excellent efforts the last couple of weeks. And you got to wonder if Alex Jones was around for some of these other games where they suffered some losses, if this season wouldn't be a little bit different for him. The good thing for Wadsworth is, though, they do have him back, and Joey Bachman is looking like a monster right now, just like he did in Week 1 when he completely ran all over Ashland. They got a 1-5 Twinsburg team coming up here, and you can't sleep on them. I mean, they played Stowe really tough. They can put some points up. They have a very explosive offense.
I think some of the records can be deceiving a little bit, you know, especially when you lose a lot of close games, because that's the same with Amherst in the Southwestern Conference. They've lost probably 3 or 4 7-point games, and they're probably the best 1-4 team out there, or 1-5 team rather. But like you said, their record sometimes can be deceiving, especially Twinsburg, who plays hard.
Yeah, absolutely, and one of the losses is a 38-28 loss to Copley in Week 1. And Copley's 5-1. They played Solon, they played Aurora, both of which are very good teams. We'll talk about Copley and Aurora here shortly. So I mean, Twinsburg is not a team that you can take lightly at all. And some of these games, Twinsburg and Cuyahoga Falls were unfortunately the 2 worst teams last year, and there wasn't a whole lot really. Resistance on their end. This year they've played a lot more competitively. They're both 1-5, but it's a deceptive 1-5. Cuyahoga Falls just, right now they don't have the dudes right now, and who's to say that they can't turn that around? So a lot of good stuff going on in the National Division for the Suburban League. Let's turn it over to the American Division, prepared by my compadre, my cohort, my colleague, Sean Duffy. Once again, he is on assignment. I'm sure you guys went over that before I walked in. So let's get to it. Suburban League American Division action. Actually, this is a non-conference game between Barberton and Millersburg West Holmes. Barberton, they were just able to dominate West Holmes. Barberton was led on the ground by Key Thompson and Jeff Parker. They combined for 372 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. Quarterback Zane Reese of Barberton was 7 of 9 passing for 192 yards and 2 touchdowns. Boy, talk about efficiency. Keith Thompson and wide receiver Garrett Turnbull both had touchdown runs. And Barberton just overran West Holmes by a score of 43-14. With the win, the Barberton Magics improved to 4-2 overall. They remain 0-2 in the Suburban League. They will host Talmadge in Week 7. Barberton is right now on the outside looking in. They are 9th in Division I, Region 5. Over to Copley and Talmadge, where Talmadge hosted the Indians, powered by running back Weston Bridges, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a pair of touchdown passes by quarterback Austin Brenner, and a dominating defensive effort. Copley cruises to a Week 6 victory, a 35-7 demolition of the Talmadge Blue Devils. Weston Bridges carried the ball 30 times for 214 yards and 3 touchdowns. Austin Brenner completed 13 of 24 for 162 yards and 2 touchdowns. With the win, Copley improves to 5-1 overall, 3-0 in the Suburban League. They are 5th in Division II, Region 5. They will travel to Highland to take on the Hornets in Week 7. The Talmadge Blue Devils will travel to, drumroll please, they will travel to Barberton. Actually, they will travel to Barberton, take on the 4-2 Barberton Magics. The next game on the slate here, Kent Roosevelt traveling to Richfield to take on the Revere Minutemen. Roosevelt, coming off their first one of the year, was looking to continue the momentum when they traveled to Revere. Revere was having none of that. They spoiled any opportunity to secure their second win of the season. Revere was able to overtake Roosevelt 28-14. With the win, the Minutemen improved to 4-2 overall. They are 1-2 in the Suburban League. Right now, they are on the outside looking in. They are 9th in Division III, Region 9. Oddly enough, they are trailing Buckeye, a team that they defeated earlier in the year. They will actually host Aurora in Week 7. That's a big game right there for the Minutemen. You have a 4-2 team and a 5-1 team, and this is an opportunity for Revere to really get some computer points and prove that they belong in the upper echelon of the American Division. Kent Roosevelt will have a non-conference game. They are 1-5 overall, 0-3 in the conference. They will travel to Garfield Heights in Week 7. The spotlight game of the week features the Medina Highland Hornets versus the Aurora Greenmen. And the Greenmen had revenge on their mind when they welcomed Highland in. Highland was the only regular season loss during the 2015 campaign for the Greenmen, and they were not messing around, and they exacted their revenge in a very convincing way. In fact, it started from the very beginning as Gavin Blunt took the opening kickoff 93 yards for a touchdown, giving Aurora a quick lead. Blunt also added a 61-yard touchdown reception in the first quarter. Fullback Bubba Arslanian added a 21-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. Chris Vanzo and Mac Austin also had touchdown runs. Aurora had a 36-3 lead at the half. You could tell they weren't messing around here too much. The only offense for the Hornets in the first half came from the legs of quarterback Matthew Ernest. Ernest carried the ball 11 times for 63 yards in the second quarter. It was a 79-yard drive that stalled at the Aurora 8-yard line, and it resulted in a 26-yard field goal by kicker Kurt Everett. Chris Vanzo, he did put the final touches on this victory with a 90-yard touchdown run in the third quarter. Vanzo finished the night with 11 carries for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. Highlands backup quarterback Landon Mazzocco scored late in the second half with a 4-yard touchdown run, pulling the lead from to 43-10, which was the final score. 43-10, Aurora Greenmen over the Medina Highland Hornets, and with the win, Aurora improves to 5-1 overall, 3-0 Suburban League. They are third in Division II, Region 5. Highland falls to 4-2 overall, 1-1 the Suburban League. They are currently hanging on to the 8th spot in Division II, Region 6. Highland will host Copley in Week 7. Aurora will travel to Revere. The Week 6 MVP, as chosen by Mr. Duffy, it's going to be Aurora running back Chris Vanzo. He had 11 carries for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns in a massive victory, a huge victory for the Aurora Greenmen, a 43-10 revenge game against the Highland Hornets. And you could tell from the outset that this is one that they really wanted. Highland was able to sneak into the playoffs last year with this win over Aurora, and Aurora had this game circled on their calendar ever since last year. So and it doesn't get any easier for Aurora. They got to take on a 4-2 Revere team, and then conversely, it doesn't get any easier for Highland as Copley's 5-1. So you got a lot. You got maybe a pseudo semifinal going on here. Between these 4 teams, the top 4 teams in the regions or in this American Division.
Yeah, I think Copley, since that Barberton game that we picked as our game of the week, they really have been rolling. Offensively, when you have a player like Weston Bridges, the Copley running back, he's committed to Michigan State. And, he has a running back body, but he's willing to do whatever it takes. He plays some defense, not very often, but, just the amount of rushing yards he can give you and leadership, he gives that Copley team. Just really impressive. And they just have – Copley has athletes all over the place, really. Their defense is active, but offensively they're going to put up a lot of points. And they really have found their stride. And, just an impressive win for them. But Aurora, too, that shocked me against a really good Medina Highland. Take nothing away from Medina Highland. They're a good team. Aurora just had a great game plan, and they figured some things out when they watched film, because to only give up 10 points to a really tough Highland team and put up that amount of points, because Highland's defense is always been tough. That's pretty impressive. It
is, and they had a pretty good balance between working Chris Vanzo and fullback Barbara Arslanian and Mac Austin. They had a really good thing going with those 3, with those 3 guys, and then you had Gavin Blunt in addition to a kickoff return for a touchdown, he added a long ball threat with a 61-yard touchdown reception in the first quarter. So Aurora really came to play, and Coach Gibbons, he's got no time to rest because he's going to be featured again in the Week 7 Spotlight game in the American Division. Weston Bridges and Austin Brenner bring their Copley Indians into Highland to take on the Medina Highland Hornets. That is the Week 7 Spotlight game of the week. Week 7 Spotlight game for the Suburban League American Division. Before I sign off here, I do want to give you guys an update on our friends down from Dayton, the Fayetteville Rockets. As you may remember last week, we had Chase Jester, who just completely blew up the score sheet, the stat sheet this week. He downgraded a little bit this past week. He had 25 carries for 156 yards and only 3 touchdowns.
Only?
my God.
I mean, what was he doing?
I don't know. I
did he take the second half off?
He must have. I mean, I don't know what Coach Finch is doing down there. I mean, I don't know if he's trying to hold him back or what. But actually, this was a pretty big win for Fayetteville. They were able to defeat Miami Valley Christian Academy 24-13, propelling them right now into the playoff picture in Division 6, Region 24. Right now, they're sitting at number 6 in the region. They would travel to Mechanicsburg to take on that team. They take on the rest of their schedule's not looking too bad. They got 1-5 Manchester, 0-6 Jefferson Township, and then they will take on Notre Dame and Bishop Ready down in that neck of the woods. Both of those are 4-2 teams, so they got some time to make some noise down there. And I would be remiss if I didn't at least mention, for my buddy Sean, Vandalia Butler.
What happened?
Victory over Greenville. They won 14-6.
Wow.
Tough game there with Greenville. They will take on 5-1 Troy next week. They have a pretty tough schedule on the rest of their way too. They got a 4-2 Pequot team, Sydney 3-3, Tippecanoe 4-2. Right now, Vandalia Butler sitting at 6 in Division 2, Region 8. They would currently travel to Cincinnati Princeton. And last but not least, my playoff teams right now, Stowe Monroe Falls is 4 in Division 1, Region 1. Brushville Broadview Heights is number 7 in Division 2, Region 5. Hudson, number 8 in Division 2, Region 5. Wadsworth is number 10 in Division 2, Region 6. They certainly have the opportunity to make some noise in that region.
Very nice. Nice job, Ed. Both suburban divisions, the American and National.
Big props to Sean Duffy once again for the excellent review. Definitely missing him. I'll look forward to getting the FNG back. If nothing else, just to say FNG.
That's right. So Week 6 in the Suburban League is a wrap. When we come back, we're going to talk about our game of the week last week. It was the Brecksville Broadview Heights Bees and the Nordonian Knights. And boy, was it an offensive show. And we'll also give you this week, where are we going to be Friday, Josh Jeffy?
You have to wait and find out.
That's right. You sure will. We'll tell you our game of the week this week. When we come back, we're Sports on Tap. It's our Ohio High School football coverage. We're coming right back.